All right, we are here with our first live Real Estate Bestie podcast. And I get the privilege of taking over the show and interviewing our real estate bestie, Rosemary Lewis.
Hey, hey.
Hi. How are you feeling today?
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm Gucci.
Oh, Gucci. Yes. Awesome. Well, we get the privilege of talking about, I am holding in my hand the Real Estate Bestie Devotional.
Yes.
And so are you ready to talk about it?
I'm ready.
All right,
ready.
Let's do
Y'all
it.
ready? Y'all ready?
Okay, so here's this devotional written by you, and part of what I really want to get an understanding and make sure that our audience understands is, what about our Sunday morning faith and our Monday morning work caused you to see that there's some kind of gap that we need to fill with this bestie devotional?
So I'll go back to just my life. I have been in church all my life. Like I cannot remember my mama started me off in church. There was a little pivot. I was kicking it.
But you started there.
And couldn't get up. Right, but started. And what happened is I was in the routine of going to church, had some traumas happen in life that even though I was attending, I still had like distance between me and God because there was a trust issue there. Like, I love you, but like a first cousin, right? Like, you know, the first cousin you kick it with on the family reunion, but you don't talk to him again for 2 years.
Right, not super close. Not
super close.
Right.
So that's what my relationship with the Lord was looking like. But I was going out of routine. And as I got older, and especially transitioning to Texas and being a part of a different type of church, a Bible teaching, get your life together, spend time with the Lord, I was like, oh, I'm supposed to like do Jesus every day, right? Not just on Sunday, and not just on Sunday from 9 to 12, because at 1 it was brunch,
right?
And it was what it was. But as I got into this career, I was like, okay, I need to really apply these principles of the Bible. First of all, understand them for myself, but then how do I apply them in my everyday life? And I figured if I needed a tool, and if something would have been helpful for me, then it perhaps could be helpful for other women as well.
Okay, so that was the drive, just realizing in my own personal life that there's a little bit of a gap and I want to bridge it. So who did you have in mind when you wrote it, or when you think about kind of where you were? Who was your audience? What were you hoping?
The person who didn't know where to get started, right? Like people say, get in your word. Right. But real talk, I would crack open the Bible at night and fall aslep on my word.
That's fair.
And then I would feel guilty.
Right,
and
especially when you get to all those names, right?
All of them, all of them. And then King James, out there with all of those things. So what I almost felt like having a devotional or a tool was cheating.
Okay.
Like I needed to be able to understand and apply it on my own. And once I figured out, like, no, that's what got me into the routine, walking through different devotionals and Bible studies and things like that. Then I was like, okay, I want this to be very attainable. Like, I don't want it to be, a scholastic chapter for everyone.
Right.
I want it to be very realistic on what we're going through on a day-to-day basis and how can we see God in our day-to-day. So I really wrote it for that person in mind that's just looking to find Jesus in their everyday life, curious about him, but just not really knowing how to go about establishing this routine with them.
Okay. So now with that in mind, I mean, there are tons of business books, right? Like we could talk about leadership and we can talk about all kind of business books. And then there are tons of faith books, right? This intersection between the two, right? This business, this faith, you wrote it and you didn't necessarily write it for all of us that were in church on Sunday. It was this intersection. Why did you choose that intersection? What about that spoke to you?
So I am a real estate professional and I've been in this industry since 2017 full time.
Okay.
And what I have learned, myself and my peers included, is that this can become just so me, self-fulfilling prophecy. And the worst thing is, getting to the point where you have all of the awards, all of the accolades, all of the clapping, but you still feel empty inside. So what I figured out, and it just so happened that when I started going deeper with the Lord, it was in congruence to starting my real estate career. I was like, I have to find my worth and my value in who he says I am.
Okay.
So that number one, I don't get it twisted that if I'm selling a lot of homes, I tie up my worth and my value in that. And then on the other side, like just still understanding and seeing him for provision. And in every single day, you know, when you're a real estate professional, we have an opportunity to walk with people during the most difficult times of their lives or transitions, right? They're opening happy chapters or they're closing sad chapters. It's such a monumental time. A lot of times we are finding ourselves as the counselor, as the, you know, the resource, as the maybe the only version of Jesus they're ever going to see. So if I'm not rooted and grounded in who I am and who God is calling me to be, then it's going to be very difficult to lead and love my clients the way I felt God was doing. So when I started to see the business as a ministry, which is what I truly believe that it is, then I was like, okay, it has to intersect. I can't do it separate, just like I can't do anything else in life separate from the Lord.
Yeah. So wait, so how did you start to see it as a ministry? Because now think about what you said, right? Like here you are, we have our careers, it's going well, and now all of a sudden you wake up and it's ministry? Like help bridge that gap. How did that happen?
So there's one entry I did not put in the devotional.
See, this is the question. I'm so glad I asked this question.
Yeah, there's one entry I did not put in the devotional. So started off on the team, and we would cold call. I cold called for months. Finally got a solid listing appointment. Finally got in front of a lady. She's like literally taking her pen, about to sign the paper, and I'm very broke at the time too, right?
Okay.
So I'm thinking to myself, like I'm adding it up, like this house only 145, but 145, 3%. Like I'm like, like I'm like, yes, Jesus, thank you, Lord, we need this.
Yes.
So she's signing and she drops the pen, and I'm like, okay, what's happening?
Right.
Her son committed suicide in the house.
Oh.
That we were gonna sell.
Oh.
And she dropped the pen and she started to cry. And knowing this, it was time to close this chapter, but leaving this home was like leaving him. And I remember sitting there like, God, I need this sale. But he was telling me to pray for her. And I was like, okay, oh yeah, I'm praying right now. Right. Jesus, bless her, right?
Quickly,
right,
so I can have a sale. Like, bless her quickly.
But I just kept feeling the pressing, like, no.
Yeah.
You cover her right now. That's what she needs. And I had to trust God to say, even if she does not sign, because this is not professional.
Okay, so wait a minute. I'm going to ask you to repeat that even if statement. Just do that one.
Even if she does not sign.
Okay.
At this moment, I'm calling you, like, it's almost like Esther.
Yes.
What if you just here for this?
Yes.
Right? So I remember just sitting there and I was like, can I pray for you? And she was so receptive.
Yes.
And I kneeled and we sobbed and we prayed, and then she signed the paper.
Yes.
But that was the first time where I was like, wow, God, like this is bigger than me and my family and our measly little bills. You're calling me here to do something.
Yes.
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
I was new. So that was 2018, April 2018, because I remember how long it took me to get somebody to say yes to that appointment.
Right.
So it was April 2018, and the interesting thing is I'm still connected to her today.
I love that. 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you said your mom started you in church when you were really young.
Yep.
Right? And so what about the people that are listening to us, Rosemary, who aren't super religious?
Yeah.
You know, maybe they don't even know Jesus.
Yeah.
And here you are talking about a devotional that got Jesus all over it.
Yeah, I'm not religious either.
Okay, come on.
Yeah.
What are you then? Talk about it.
I have a relationship.
Yes.
Right.
And there's a distinction in your mind. Talk about that distinction.
1,000,000% there's a distinction because, you know, I don't know, like, religious I'm 38 days into Lent. Like, darn it, I missed it. I was supposed to get something up, right?
Right.
But when you have a relationship with anything, like when you find a good thing, you want to give it away.
Right.
Right? So like I'm the type of person that if I say to you, Don, your earrings are cute, I expect you to give me the link. Right?
Right.
I'm complimenting you, but I also want the plug.
By the way, that's good to know. Okay.
Yes. Oh,
Thank
yes.
you.
Everybody.
Okay.
Like, and just so you know, if anybody in life is complimenting you in this day and age, we expect leave me, sis. Like,
Right.
don't have me taking a picture of your earrings and putting it in Google. Okay?
Right.
But if I'm like that, and if I'm so resourceful resourceful about all of these other things in my life, how can I not be that resourceful about the best thing in my life? Right?
Right.
So what I would say to the person who is curious is just be curious. Just open up the devotional with no expectation, right? And that's what I have God just told me to write it. What he does with it is between you and him.
Yes.
But if you're curious and you just want to know, just like when I was curious about eating sushi, I tried it for the first time and I was like, oh, it's kind of great, right?
Right.
So just try it. And unfortunately, and you and I both know this, so many of us have church hurt, and the people who were shepherding us maybe didn't have the capacity, compassion, emotional intelligence to do that in the way we need it.
Right.
So as a result, you have a lot of people who have cut off God. But my thing is just try him.
Try him.
Try him. Like don't try to go around to try him and just see where you end up.
Yeah, that's good. Now, this is so you're saying I'm just take your first step.
Take your first step.
Okay, and that could be the devotional or something else.
Yeah, it could be anything.
Okay, but now can I talk about me just
Go
a
for
little
it,
bit, just a little bit, right? So for years, I really believed in this idea of kind of like you talked about. I did Jesus on Sunday because Sunday was good.
Yep.
And then on Monday, I was like, God, you got all of my Sunday. I gave him a little bit, even brunch time. But he got all of Sunday. But then when Monday came, I was like, this is my work friend. Let me have Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
And I'll give you the weekend again. We naturally compartmentalize our lives.
Yep.
Right? And so for you to say, hey, my business is ministry, right? Hey, all of me, Monday through Sunday. God, you have all of it. How do we, when you think about it, how do we encourage people to say this intersection shouldn't be separate. It should be integrated. That we are just one person and we should be the same in every single context that we're in. Yeah. When it's natural to compartmentalize. Yeah. We got church friends and we got high school friends, right?
And we got
we won't even talk about the college friends, okay?
Yeah.
We not right? So it's natural for us to compartmentalize, Rosemary, but you're saying no, don't compartmentalize.
Yeah, I think not to compartmentalize, and most importantly, just to where can we find pockets in our day to just get to know the Lord. And I talk to the besties that I get to coach all the time. Like if any of y'all were dating somebody and you only saw him on Sunday, how long would that last?
Well, there's that.
You know what I mean? How long would you stay plugged in to that relationship if he gave you a 3-hour window on Sunday and you didn't hear from him again?
Oh my goodness.
And the thing is that a lot of myself included, because this was the boat I was in for a long time, and I still have to check myself not to be in this boat. Like, it's hard to trust God because you don't know him.
Right.
And you don't know him because you're not spending time with him, right? So I give the example of like my mother-in-law. I will put her mac and cheese up against all y'all grandmama's mac and cheese.
Not all of them.
All of them. What? But you know why? Because I've tried it. Because it's shown consistency over time.
Right.
But if we are not plugging in, and it does not have to be overwhelming either, right? Like you don't have to like sing a hymn, do a liturgical dance, and do all these things, but you could, right? Wherever you're leading to. But I love Debbie Stewart.
Yes.
She really helped me with the idea when she would come to our church of like 20 minutes a day for every day for the rest of your life.
Okay.
Right? So in that 20 minutes of day, like I'm telling you, like the meeting time and just what you will come to understand about the Lord, and then all of these different pieces of your life, the story, it'll make sense. Right? When I was kneeling and I was talking to that young lady who her son decided to end his life at 15 years old, I had context. My brother lost his life at 15 years old, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, God. So not only could I pray for her, but I could weep with her.
Yes.
Because I understood.
Yes.
But if I wasn't plugged in with the Lord and I'm just thinking about my business and thinking about what I'm at, I wouldn't have the emotional intelligence like Jesus did when he came and wept with Mary and Martha.
Absolutely.
Right? To sit there and be in it with them. So to me, it's really hard I shouldn't say it's hard. It's easier when we let go of control to just say, okay, God, you get in on all of my life.
All of my life. Just one more time? Can you say that?
Yeah, God, you get in on all of my life.
All of my life.
All of it.
Okay. All right. Let's go inside the book, because there are some powerful things that you have said here. One of the things that you've said in the past is this idea about the grind of real estate, right? And that can be a self-fulfilling prophecy. And then I'm just going to read a quote from it, because I thought it was powerful. You said, when the grind becomes more important than rest, we're essentially telling God that we can outwork his provision, and that is impossible.
Yeah.
Talk to me about this grind of real estate and how...
It's very easy to become that agent or that person in your mind where you're like, I work 24/7, you can give me at all times. Like, we can't catch a break because we're chasing the production, right? And a lot of times that can happen to the detriment of your health. It can happen to the detriment of your relationships. I would just pay attention to, I would go to these big conferences and look at these big stages. But this year, the wedding ring gone, right? The business is getting bigger, but, all of the other pieces of what you're really working for, like, it's at the expense of knowing your children and all of these different things. And because it can become addicting. The applause can become addicting.
Right.
And I have and still have to be careful.
Okay.
Because
so you're still walking through that.
Huh? Like, there are some awards I win that I literally am like, I can't post it. Because I'm going to check every 3 minutes to see if 2 more people liked it.
Yes.
This is just my junk. I don't know, maybe y'all don't deal with that, right? But, and then it becomes an idol.
Yes.
Right? And then I put it on the throne.
Yes.
And now I feel like I can't do this, I can't do that, what the Lord is calling me to do, because I'm hustling.
Yes.
So just putting it to the forefront and laying it before the Lord every day, like, okay, I don't want to hustle past the provision, because we can also hustle past what we pray to God for. And it might be a season of rest. There was a time when my mom passed away. I felt like I couldn't stop. And one of my friends who wasn't a believer was like, what about that guy you talk about all the time?
Ooh.
Right? She was like, if what you tell us is true, then all of this will be back when you are healthy enough to pick it up. So put it down.
Ooh.
Right?
Yes, for good friends.
Yeah. So.
Okay. So how
y'all know the name. Y'all know who it was.
So how is that rest, this idea of rest, or this tension between rest and hustle, how's it going for you now?
You know what? I don't like to work. No. Having time blocking, I don't know if boundaries is a good word, but creating rhythms.
Yes.
It is going well. And being able to articulate that and attract the type of clients that understand it, leveraging, so like for me, I have a team now. I can make a whole lot more money if I did not have the team, if Real Estate Bestie wasn't a thing right now. But right now it's more about purpose. And what God is allowing is he's allowing me to apply leverage in my life so that I could do the things that he's calling me to do.
Right.
And I can't get caught up in the fact that these things aren't, cashing checks right now.
Right.
But it's just what it is.
Okay. Now, but you also talked about this idea of money. You're saying you could make more money if you didn't have a team.
I could.
And one of the things that you said in the devotional as well was this idea that money is a tool, not a goal.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So then unpack that. Unpack this idea of money being a tool, not a goal, when it's common for agents to their identity to be tied to their production, and consequently the money that they can make.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it happens, well, I'll speak for myself. Like, I've had like a two-way thing with money where I did not just believe, because I'm leery of abundance teaching,
right,
and all of these like things like God is a genie. But what that did for me is I had such a lack mindset around what was possible, and my background and losing my siblings. I knew God to be a clutch God, like to come in the midnight hour.
Right.
But I hadn't given myself permission to know Him as an abundant God. Oof. And when I started to give myself that permission.
Wait.
Yeah.
I was like, could you just saying these and keep it going? Like, so just repeat that again.
So I knew God to be a clutch God,
Yes.
but I hadn't given myself permission to know him to be an abundant God.
Oof.
Right?
Okay, yes.
So when and first it had to be a mindset shift, because the first shift was like, God, and I pray this prayer every single time I'm with the besties, like, God, we want so much from you and we believe you for it, but let not what we want from you be greater than wanting you. But I'm not going to demonize myself for wanting from God.
Right.
And when that shift came, I never forget, this is going to sound so crazy, when my mama was passing away. I remember holding her, right? And I remember looking like, this is why I time block. And I was like, because if I wasn't time blocking all those days and being consistent and showing up for the business, and I didn't have the resources in the bank right now, I didn't have to call anybody and ask for PTO.
Yes.
I didn't have to, negotiate my way to say goodbye to my mother. And I was like, this is what the money allows. It gives me the freedom to be in the moment.
Right.
And this is now not a stressor, but it's also not my God.
Yes.
Because all the money, I made more money that year than I ever made in my life, but not a dollar was going to bring her back. You know what I mean? So it was that great balance of understanding, like, okay, yes, it's a tool so that we can do good, so that, it can unlock freedoms, but I don't want to confuse myself to think that it's me and it's all I need to be working for. Because the reality is that we got to be working for eternity.
Yes.
All this stuff going to pass away.
Right.
It's all going to end.
Right.
So I want my footprint to be, that girl helped populate heaven.
Ooh. Yes. So is it normal for you to just drop nuggets like this? I mean, because you're just saying it as though this is just always natural.
Because I be sitting with Jesus.
Oh. Like the devotional does.
Like, I'm just saying, I be sitting with Jesus.
Okay. Okay, so let's talk about the devotional. What was one of your favorite entries in the book? What spoke to you in a way that changed you?
Yeah, I would say day number 5.
Okay.
That day is the hands and feet of God in unlikely places.
Yes.
And, just to be short, when my mom, I got a call, I'm in Dallas, that I need to get to Chicago ASAP. It was a cluster getting there. And I'm like praying the whole way. That was my biggest thing. Like, Lord, please don't let something happen to my mom and I can't get to her. I get to Chicago that night. They said I couldn't go up. And I was just like, you know what, look, God, you surely didn't let me get all the way here for her to die tonight. So I'm going to go. I slept well that night.
Right.
The next day, out of habit, one of my clients called me. And just for context, like, we couldn't be more different. Black woman, white guy, you know what I mean? Like, he a country boy, I'm a city girl.
Right.
But he'd been my longtime client, and he was actually calling me for an opportunity. His job was looking for people who minister in the marketplace. Ain't that crazy? And out of habit, I shouldn't have picked up the phone because I'm literally about to head to the hospital not knowing what I'm going to see with my mother. And I pick up the phone, I say, hey, Sean, and he tells me, what he called for. And I'm like trying to, okay, great, yeah. And then he said, oh, but I didn't even ask, how you doing?
Oh.
And I'm thinking like, because we've been cordial at best up until this point.
Right.
And I just let loose on him. I was like, actually, when I tell you that boy prayed for me,
yes,
and covered, I was like this client, the way he covered me and just asked God, I did not know he had that in him.
Yes.
And I was like, that was nothing but the Lord to use somebody. And I had helped them buy and sell several homes. He was calling me for something totally random on that day. Like his covering of me that day. It was something I'd never experienced before. And I was like, I know that's you. Like, I know that was you. And it gave me the strength to walk into that hospital room that day.
Oh, that's powerful. Wow. So what do you say, kind of in light of that entry, what do you say to the besties? What are you thinking about it and thinking about the impact? What do you tell them in light of that?
Yeah, just like Sean was God's hands and feet for me, where are our opportunities to be God's hands and feet for other people?
Right.
Like, are we so concerned about what we need that we are not sensitive to what the needs are of those around us?
Yeah.
So just looking for those opportunities. And those opportunities, it could literally be a compliment.
Yes.
Right? Just looking, like I intentionally have started this thing in my life where like I intentionally compliment so many people a day and go out of my way to do it, because you just never know what they're going through, and that just might be how God is using you. So that's something that I would say is like looking for those spaces where you can be the hands and feet, but also like inviting community into your life, because a lot of times God is like, y'all heard the thing where he sent the boat, he sent all these different things,
right.
but you waiting on, he like, dude, I gave you all these people. So where are we may be closing ourselves off to where he's trying to do something with us?
Yes. I love that. I also love the fact that in light of what you shared, Sean had enough room, enough rest. Like he was able to hear and then take time for that. And so, which goes back to this Devo, right? Which is this idea of how are you creating space to take time? How do you hope people will use the devotional, right? So is it in between showings? Is it early morning or late evening? Or, I mean, if we're going to be real practical, what do you want them to do?
So I think that wherever you can find consistency.
Okay.
And I tend to find consistency in community.
Okay.
So when I am doing something with somebody, whether that's a coach, whether that's a mastermind group, whether that's my homegirls, where can you find consistency? Now, I will say, if we modeling ourselves after Jesus, he got up early in the morning.
He did. You know, and some of us are night owls.
And some of us are not. So, so just where can you find that consistency? But I have found power because, I think, like I was thinking about this, I was not a morning person. I trained myself to be a morning person. Because teachers used to have to be there at 7 a.m. Did you know that?
I did know that.
It's the ghettoest thing ever. Fair. So because of vocation, I ended up getting up earlier, and I continued that into my real estate life. So I do think that there's something powerful about stowing away with the Lord before the world shows up. So my what has worked for me is sometime in the morning, but wherever you can be consistent.
Okay, what if they're struggling with consistency? What if there's no consistency? Like, so I have some friends, you know them, and they are much more scheduled and planned, okay, than I am. I am a free spirit.
Yes. Yeah.
And when it comes to time, things are fluid. Yeah. Not really structured. So if there is less consistency and you're not there, where do they start?
Okay, so first I'm going to challenge the mindset about I'm not consistent.
Okay.
Because did you brush your teeth today?
Facts.
Did you do it yesterday?
I did
Day
as well.
before?
I did. Deodorant too, actually.
Okay, well, look at that. Right. So there are areas in your life where you're consistent.
You're right.
Right? So where we find consistency where it matters for us. That's number one. But then
I do want you to know that you have just convicted me, okay? So let me just acknowledge that, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
So consistency there. But then, like, I play, even with, like, my Legion activities, I play games with myself. So, like, for instance, you're going to check your phone and check Instagram or check something else, right?
Right.
So what if there was, like, the book Atomic Habits with James Clear, if you stack the habit. So before I pick up my phone for Instagram, did I pick up my Bible?
Okay.
And that's just, and not to say you can't get on Instagram, but that's almost like you're not, and also not convicting. My habit is I'm gonna spend 5 minutes, I'm gonna read one verse a day, then I get my phone. It's almost a reward for being consistent. So that in any habit that I'm looking to put in, that has been helpful. And then also community, right? When you are doing, so that's even with the devotional, we are starting on July 1st.
Yes.
We're starting a 40-day challenge where we're going to be walking through the devotional every single day. I've invited some of my real life besties to jump into our private Facebook group at rosemarylewis.com/Facebook.
Yes.
And every day they're just going to share with, like, whatever the day is, their takeaways, just to help encourage that consistency. And sometimes when you're doing it with others, we will show up a little bit better when there's a group of us instead of ourselves.
Right. No, that's good. That's good. Thank you. Okay, so what has the early feedback been? It's been like previewed, it's officially launching today.
Yeah.
What kind of feedback have you gotten, and have there been any responses that have surprised you?
Something that I don't know that it surprised me, but the feedback has been like, we need this. Oof. Like, we needed something like this. Thank you so much for creating the resource, because we need this in the marketplace.
Right.
And my encouragement to everybody else is that if you see a need, then don't wait for somebody else to feel it all the time. There's a sign in one of my offices that says, create the things you wish existed.
Yes.
Because you just never know. Like, I wrote this devotional 15 minutes a day. Now,
Yes.
it's a consistency, and believe me, it like beat the mess out of me. It was very hard. Look, it was hard, but now that it's here and I see it, and I'm just imagining women getting to know the Lord because of it. I'm like, oh gosh, and it was 15 minutes a day.
Yes.
So what if I spent 30?
Yeah. Right.
So the feedback there has been really, really well. Now only 3 of y'all done reviewed on Amazon, so I'm assuming that we're gonna get more. But so far it's been very positive.
I love that. So I'm going to give you my little quote that spoke to me. How about feedback? Real-time feedback?
Okay.
Listen, day 39 is what caught me. You said it's not just about doing the right thing when it feels good. It's about choosing love and faithfulness when it's hard, awkward, or unreciprocated. That's where the favor comes.
Yeah.
And I think just as we're processing and using this as to think through what best, I was like, this is the thing, that statement in my life right now, that spoke to me. It was like, oh wow, Lord, I hear you. It's about faithfulness, even when it's unreciprocated and hard and awkward. And so thank you, Rosemary, for the Bestie Devo and for challenging me about my brushing of the teeth because I need to be more consistent. And so just as we're wrapping up and as we're thinking, what is your hope going forward?
My biggest hope is that this just be the start, right? That the besties and the homies, we know a lot of the guys read the books too, right? Which is great. That you look for Jesus in these pages, but then you keep looking for him.
Yes.
You know, you keep let this be the start of your families, your children. Like this morning, I was sitting and out with my son, and I said, okay, I'm about to have quiet time. Like, you want to sit with me? And like, that's better than any 401k, 503c, whatever I can leave him.
Right.
It's just this practice because that's what's eternal. That's what's going to last. So I just pray that this will, if this is something new for somebody, it will help be the Bible is the foundation. This is just a tool to help you get to the foundation. If it's somebody who has been distant from the Lord and just trying to figure out, okay, where am I? Where are you? I know you're going to find him in these pages and in those pages, and that you just continue one day at a time with him. That is my earnest prayer.
Yes, I love it. Thank you. When I think about kind of what's next, anything else, any kind of closing thoughts?
Yeah, listen, we need lights in the marketplace.
Yes, we do. You had a chapter called This Little Light of Mine.
This Little Light of Mine.
Right.
We need lights in the marketplace. This world is so dark, and it can feel so heavy. People can feel so alone. We will never understand the weight that a lot of people are walking through, just like somebody might not ever understand the weight that you're walking through. Yeah. And the only way is Jesus. That's the only way. So I just encourage all of my friends, family, besties, anyone who hears this episode to give him a try. And we are here to support you. Like what we do at Real Estate Bestie, we give you all the business, all the coaching, all that. But faith is the firm foundation. We're having a whole day, 3-day thing.
We are.
In September. September 21st through the 24th, where it will be where faith, business, and besties collide, all for the glory of God, and just to make his name great. Even if I never speak his name, I just want the way that I move to represent who God is.
Yes.
And that's what I want. That's what this world desperately needs.
Yes.
So.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.